What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over the UFC Apex card for this coming Saturday. And we're going to be doing a DFS breakdown today where we go through the top plays and take a look at the card, the slate as a whole. It's possible that tomorrow I might do a betting breakdown and also a lineup construction video. I'm threatening to do more of those. I just haven't really found the time. But we can certainly go through the plays. We've actually been pretty sharp over the last really 2 months, but especially the last like 4 or 5 slates. If you've been following the overall breakdown, I mean, we've come up with some good stuff. So let's continue to do that. So first of all, let's analyze the card as a whole first. So again, for those that have not seen this the first time, I mean, the first thing we have to do is analyze what type of GPP card it is. Is it worth playing? Is it a card where you're going to have to get, real funky with your lineup construction? You're going to have to leave salary on the table, or is it a card where you could just make the best plays and threaten to, take down a lot of money? As I mentioned last week I thought it was a really, really good slate to try to get unique without trying too hard, because I thought the main event was very, very fishy and it could bust pretty easily, and it did. So I did not, obviously, I would have told you, I did not take the whole thing down, but it was definitely the right analysis about last week's card. And that's really step one, is to figure out what you need to do to approach the card if you're going to be playing DFS. So let's first take a look at, the key metrics. Number one is how many fights there are. Now, I think that with all the additional fights, we did end up with 13, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which is, again, that's our goal. If we can get 13 fights, then you have a chance of having a really good GPP card. If it's 14, then you're, perfect. If you're 12, then you have to really start to engage in some funny business. And sometimes you get 11 fight cards, then it's a whole other ballgame. So from a overall number of fights perspective, good. I mean, great. I mean, not perfect. It wouldn't be 14, but 13 is really good. Next thing you think about is there any type of real mispriced fighter that is just like a free square from a theoretical perspective, such that you really can't fade him and everybody knows it? So you're going to get like a 60-70% owned guy that is going to just kind of take up a slot. And the answer this week is no. I mean, there's nothing like that this week. The next thing you want to think about, and this is like 3A and 3B really, is there a fight which is just completely unfadeable that everybody's just going to just pound on? 3A, 3B, normally that means the main event, okay? Because the main event, just for whatever reason, they still price these things like every other fight, yet they're always 5-round fights. So these are always going to project better, all else being equal, than the other fights. So question 3A or 3B, or 3A is the main event such that you just can't fade it. But then 3B is there another fight that also is just so impossible to fade? Now, with 3B, I would say not 100%, but close. Like, there is one fight that we'll get to that I think is going to be very difficult to fade from metrics. And it's possible that garners, a good amount of ownership on both sides, maybe 35% on both sides. And we'll get to that. So that holds the card back a little bit. But the main event, I have to say, I don't think is a lock. Again, that's like 3 or 4 in a row, I think, that I didn't think that the main event was really a lock. The Ulberg fight I thought was kind of close to being a lock, but last week I didn't think so. I don't think this week either. We'll get to the main event, but I think that there are paths for both fighters to win where they're not in the optimal, and that's really what you're looking for here. So that is good for us. So I think overall, I would say that given fight sizes, given no free squares, given 1.5 probably good fights, that people are going to play, I would say you get like a B+ for this card. It's not an A, but it's definitely B plus. So you're going to have to try to get some upside. You're going to have to try to, you have to be good with your line of construction, but you don't have to go completely crazy. All right, so let's get on with it. Let's get right from the bottom of the card all the way to the top. Julia Pilastri versus Talita Alencar. So I have to say, for me, I mean, again, now I've watched a lot of content this week about people that are breaking down the fights, both from a betting perspective and a DFS perspective. And you're going to see a lot of consensus on some of these fighters, and we're going to get to them when we get there. But this is one right off the bat where you're hearing all this stuff about how Julia Pilastri is just going to win this fight, maybe even get a finish or anything like that. And everybody's kind of saying something very similar, that Talita Alencar is going to be going for takedowns, but, if she can't get them, she's going to lose, right? So the way I look at that is not she's not going to get her takedowns. The way I look at it is, well, I know that she's going to be going for a takedown. So if in fact she wins, I mean, how does she not make the optimal? Her price here is, 7,200. I mean, if she wins, it's going to be because she got, I would say at least 4 takedowns, right? I mean, she obviously has a big disadvantage on the feet here. So how else is she going to win without that? And I know some people are saying, well, even if she gets some takedowns, maybe the judges don't like that and they give it to Pilastri. Okay, that's fine. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what if she does win. And she is going to win, believe it or not, about, 30% of the time, right? I don't know you guys willing to believe it, but it's true. That's what the odds are implying. So about 30% of the time she's going to win. And I think of those times that she wins, she's going to be optimal an incredible amount of time. So I think that she is clearly the side here from a DFS perspective. Not because I think she's necessarily going to win. I think she's going to win 30% of the time. But there are just tons of variations where Pilastri wins and is nowhere near the optimal. So for me, I think that it's either Alencar or nothing here. And we're going to move on. Okay, Victor Valenzuela versus Max Griffin. Kind of a young contender series guy. Hasn't really fought too many good people against Max Griffin, who's kind of hated in general. Does rate, I imagine, be a pretty boring fight. I mean, let's take a look at the metrics here. We have Griffin inside the distance is plus like 360, or maybe worse, like plus 600. Valenzuela inside is plus 280. So, I mean, that's, I guess, on the okay side of terrible. I think the fight is almost, it's probably just a fade. If Valenzuela were like 8,100 and you could sell me on plus 250 inside the distance, okay, but 8,600 is just not good enough. I think that Max Griffin, if any of these fighters are going to have grappling upside, maybe it's him. So, I mean, put a gun to my head, who would I play in DFS? I guess it would be Griffin, but it's probably just going to be a stone fade. So, for me, that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna share my screen now. May as well, right? Don't need to see my face the whole time if I'm going to be referring to some of these screens. So Alencar, as I mentioned, 7,200. Valenzuela 86 is probably not good enough. And now I'm going back and forth to these fight odds, so I may as well share the screen to do that. Okay, first of a couple of added fights, you have Francis Marshall versus was it Lucas Brennan or something like that? Lucas Brennan, and I mean, I imagine Marshall just runs him over, right? I mean, he's a big favorite. He's very aggressive. I'm guessing that his inside the distance line is very strong. I would say minus 110 at least. Let's see. Marshall inside minus 110-ish, something like that, minus 130, something like that. So that's not great for 9,400, but it's certainly not bad. Considering also that he's got some takedown upside here, I mean, I think that this is a very, very reasonable, legitimate favorite. I think that he's going to be probably very popular, I imagine. I mean, it's a huge favorite to win, good inside the distance lines, got takedowns, and why wouldn't you play him? So I don't disagree. I think it's a very, very strong play.
By the way, let's keep these plays we're tracking here in the pad. So I would say Pilastri would be the preferred, not Pilastri. Alan Carr would be preferred in the first fight. We're gonna put Griffin in here, just because I think if anybody's got takedown upside, it's probably him. But probably going to be a fade. We'll end up getting rid of him pretty quickly. And then Francis Marshall, I think, is definitely a kind of a staple of most lineups. Brennan, it just doesn't win often enough for me to put him in, so just not getting there. Cody Durden versus Jafil Filho, another kind of fight that was put together right away, and feels like the Marshall fight. Honestly, I mean, Durden, props to him for always seeming to show up, but it's on short notice. He has no gas tank. He's going to probably come out swinging away, and Philo is going to just sub him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see many other options here. I mean, what's his inside the distance line? -110. I bet you he's almost plus 200 by sub. I guess. Let's take a look at that. They don't even have it up here yet. Yeah, it doesn't have him by TKO is plus 2,000. I don't know what that is. Now, these are all new, but when these props do come out, probably in the next day or two, I mean, it's got to be Filio -110, maybe even worse, maybe -200. I mean, Durden just gets finished a lot. That's just the way it is, and Filio is very aggressive. So, perfectly reasonable. The only thing that's going to stop you from playing is the price. If you can't find good underdogs to play with them, then okay. And that is something to think about. I mean, both him and Marshall. I mean, it's not like these guys are cheap. 94, 9,500, but these are super solid favorites. I mean, honestly. No reason for me to play Durden. I mean, he just doesn't win often enough, I don't think. Okay, interesting fight here. This Michelle Montague versus Mayra Bueno Silva. What's interesting about it is that she is priced right alongside these plays, which are obviously much better than her. Because you look at her inside the distance line and you'll see it's probably plus 300 or so. We'll take a look. As most women fight, they just don't finish too often. But it's actually pretty good here. Look at this. It's plus 200 or so. I mean, for a woman fight, that's not bad. And also, she does have takedown upside. So I feel as though that she could be a nice low-owned, a pivot off of both of these guys. Or maybe you could play all three of them. Because I've seen Bueno Silva. And Bueno Silva, listen, she subbed Holly Holm. She's really has not been performing well at all. And she gives up sometimes, and if Montague gets on top of her, I mean, this could be ugly because Bueno Silva does have good jiu-jitsu. So when you do have good jiu-jitsu, sometimes you'll be more inclined to accept bottom position. And next thing you know, she gets swarmed here, and Montague could put up in a really, really big score. So I think that Montague is actually a pretty good pivot off of these other two. So I actually do like her here. And this is actually more a bet than anything else, but I do think Bueno Silva is kind of live at her price. Now, again, that's not what you look at as far as DFS goes, but she's had some tough spots. Let's just put it that way. In the last four, she's lost the last four in a row, but I mean, going all the way back, like this Pennington, I was actually at this one. This is in Toronto. She just got, Pennington was all over her, but she got 3 takedowns of her own. She was okay. Chase on with, I think, was a doctor stoppage there. Jasmine's always very tough. Again, if this fight goes the way the Jazz Vicious fight goes, this is why Montague could score a ton. And Jacqueline Cavalcanti is a really, really good striker who just kept her completely at bay here. So I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't know. I think that Bueno Silva's sort of live here. I might play her a little bit in DFS. The only thing that would stop me is that I don't think Montague is going to be particularly high owned, so you don't really get that big leverage. But if I get some of Bueno Silva, it's not going to bother me. So
I do think Montague is a very good pivot off the bigger, obviously the better metric favorites. I like Buena Silva a little bit. All right, Jackson McVeigh versus Cedric Dumas. I can't imagine that this fight's going to look that great. But let's take a look on it. Maybe they make McVeigh a minus 110 inside the distance. I doubt it. Let's just see. McVeigh at 8,700. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess so. Jackson McVeigh is actually like minus 130 or so inside the distance at 8,700. This is tough. You got to put your biases aside. I can't imagine playing this guy as 8,700. But Dumas is he fights hard, but Dumas is really not great. And if you're going to rely on the metrics here, McVeigh looks very, very good. Minus 120 inside the distance is kind of hard to fade, honestly. So we're going to use him. And I kind of feel as though you're supposed to play a little Dumas as the underdog here. Again, if McVeigh is going to look so good with the metrics, you'd have to think that Dumas, that he's going to get somewhat owned. So Dumas can get a little bit of leverage there. So I like this fight. But just because of the numbers, on the eye test, I don't really want to play McVeigh as the favorite. But it is what it is. All right, Rodolfo Vieira versus Eric McConaughey. I can imagine that Vieira is going to be minus 110 inside. It's going to look very good. Yeah, pretty close. Considering the fact that he's going to have takedown upside as well, kind of hard to ignore him. Wow, look at all these good favorites this week. Wow. This is going to be tough. Let's look at all these favorites so far. I think all 5 of these that I put up on the board look good in different ways. So it's going to be a good GPP card. It really is. Other side of this, McConaughey, again, I just don't see it. I don't know. What's his look at his metrics, may as well. McConaughey inside the, first of all, his money line plus 300 or whatever. So he wins the fight 25% of the time. That's not bad. What's his inside the distance line? Is it plus 500? I'm just guessing. Yeah, plus 800 or something. So another big favorite that we like and another underdog that we don't. So what else can I say? So far, the only underdog that I've liked is kind of gross. Is the Allen Carr at 7,200 because of the takedowns? I guess Max Griffin, is not terrible. Buena Silva, I don't really like based on her metrics, just kind of a feeling I have. So I don't know. We'll hopefully find some good underdogs, and I think we will pretty quickly here. All right, so this next fight is the one that I think is going to be difficult to fade, that I think people are going to pound on, and that's the Buchecha versus Ryan Spann fight. The inside the distance line for both of these fighters, these heavyweights or light heavyweights, whatever you want to say, is just too good to pass up. You have a mid-range fight with an 83 and 7,900, whatever, and you have Spann inside as plus 180, Buchecha inside is minus 110. At these prices, it's really just not fadeable, So these two are just kind of the nuts. The only thing I will say is that one trick that you can do if you want, and you can get away with it on this card, is that, and I haven't recommended this in a long time, but I think you can. You can play Spann and leave 400 on the table. You could trick the optimizer into thinking that you have Buchecha available, which you would. And I promise you, if an optimizer is confronted with the decision between playing Spann and Buchecha, and they had the money to spend, they would all play Buchecha. So you're going to get, if you play Spann and leave the 400, a much, much lower owned version of a Spann lineup than you otherwise might get. The only thing is that will that 400, will you need it? And I don't know if you will, because you saw all these $9,100 guys, they're all within I think that it would be that bad if instead of playing Marshall, you played Vieira, for example. No, I don't think so. Would it be that bad if instead of playing Fielho, you even played McVeigh, say at 800?
So it's I think this is a slate where you could strategically leave money on the table, because I don't think that at the top the 400 is going to bother you all that much. Okay, moving on. Montel Jackson versus Jaime Barcelos. I mean, given what I've said about some of these favorites, I can't imagine that Montel would look that great, but I don't know. Are they going to make him minus 110? Let's take a look. I mean, inside. Let's see. Nah, plus 240 or something. Yeah, so I'm not worried about that. But I'll tell you what I am into. I'm definitely into the Barcelo side. You want to know why? Because if he is going to win, it's going to be because he was able to get takedowns. And that's it. And that is just the bottom line here. You look at his most recent wins. I mean, first of all, the Simone fight. How does he take it down, Ricky Simone? I mean, Ricky Simone's a great wrestler. Took him down. He controlled Garbrandt, and he was all over Peyton Talbot with 8 takedowns. So I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think he's going to be standing at range with this dude and expect to win. He's going to have to go for takedowns. Will he get them? I don't know. I don't care. What I'm saying is that if he does get the takedowns, or excuse me, if he does win, it is because he got a bunch of takedowns, which is obviously really, really good for scoring. And you look at even his money line; it's really good here at plus 170. I mean, or whatever, he's going to win this fight like 45% of the time, and he's probably going to be optimal when he does. So it's I think he's a very, very strong underdog here. So, and you have two underdogs that to me look very, very similar, in Barcelos and Alencar, in that, are they going to win? Probably not, but they might. And if they do, it's because they got takedown, which is going to score a lot. So definitely like Barcelos along with Alencar as far as my underdogs. And then again, the Max Griffin. Now, am I hallucinating? Am I making that up about the Max Griffin takedowns? No, I mean, he's got that in his arsenal for sure. Okay, moving on. We have this one is a weird fight. I'll tell you why. Adrian Luna Martinetti versus Davey Grant. So first, we'll take a look at the inside the distance line. It's 8,200, 8K, and it's just not going to project as well as the Span fight, but it might not be bad. And let's take a look. Grant's inside the distance at plus like 280. I guess that's okay. Luna inside the plus 400. That's no good. So this is an amazing thing, and we'll talk about this when we do the betting breakdown, but I think it almost might apply to DFS this week. So you have basically a pick'em fight. I mean, Davey Grant's minus 130 or something like that. His price here is 8,000, so maybe he's got a little money line value there. For a pick'em fight, you're getting about 95% consensus on Davey Grant. Okay, across the touting community, and they're all spinning the exact same story. That Martinetti, he fought the Vologden or whatever in that fight of the year or whatever, and Vologden came back and was not great. And Davey Grant has got that dog in him that people are saying he's tough. For a 40-year-old, he really brings it, and you're getting like an incredible amount of consensus on a guy that's only pick'em. So for me, I mean, I'm not playing him. I mean, first of all, he's probably going to look pretty good if he's going to have now a minus 130 money line, and he's 8K. He's going to show up in optimals, and he's going to show up in cash game lineup. He's going to show up a lot. So if you play Martinetti against him, you can get a sneaky little bit of leverage against him. So I actually do really like the Martinetti side of this. It's not great as far as the metrics go. They showed he only had like plus 400 inside the distance, but this has got to be an action fight, right? And for 8,200 8K, I'm down with it. So I do like Martinetti quite a bit. I mean, this is a very easy, as far as I'm concerned, leverage spot. All right, Alex Hernandez versus Rafa Garcia. Hernandez 8,500. What we're going to be looking for is probably, I mean, if we can get minus 110 inside, that'd be great, but I don't think we will. I think that is inside the distance line. It's going to look more like plus 200.
Let's see. Maybe a little bit worse better than that. Yeah, inside the distance, plus one, 80-ish, which is fine. You know what I mean? It's not bad. I think that in GPPs is going to show up. He's still not going to be as good as that mid range fight, but maybe you could play them both. What about comparing Hernandez to say McVeigh though? You have Hernandez inside the distance is what is this? Hernandez inside the distance. Well, I was looking at his money line. Oh, this is terrible. Sorry, Hernandez inside the disc plus 300, no good. Garcia inside the disc plus 400, no good. Fight, total fade, next case. Sorry about that. Whew, we needed a fade. Speaking of which, Norma Dumont, Jocelyn Edwards, women's fight, bad metrics, I presume. Let's see, Dumont inside plus like 800. Edwards inside plus like 800 or whatever. So pretty much a stone cold fade. The only thing I would say, though, is that it's possible that Jocelyn Edwards goes for and gets takedowns here. And if that is the case, then we are going to put her in that same category as the other, what was her name? Alan Carr, and then Barcelos. The only thing that's different here is I think that there are variations where Edwards wins without getting the takedowns. She does have pretty good striking here. So I can't not put her in the pool. I think she's got to be very similar to Barcelos and these other people with takedowns in their win conditions. So I do like Edwards here. The only difference here is the Edwards. I don't think Dumont's going to get played at all, so you're not going to get much leverage here. But I definitely like the Edwards side of this. So I think that, and we'll get to the main event in a second, but we have a nice little theme here. I think as far as underdogs go, I think we could stick with the ones with the wrestling upside. I suppose, except for the spam fight, obviously. And we could go to that mid range, that Martinelli. You get a lot of little leverage there. I'm liking the way that this construction, or at least these picks, are kind of playing out here. Okay, you get to the main event, and you have Yusuf Zalal versus Aljamain Sterling. I'll say this again. Yep, Yusuf Zalal, who is 8,400, and he's minus 125 or so, anywhere between minus 125 and minus 130. And he is getting just 90 to 95% love in the Tau community. Just go ahead, just go through and look. And there's actually a site that tracks this, but go through all the content, and you can just see. And you're going to see the same thing. It's like bad stylistic matchup for Sterling. Zalal's good enough on the mat, and he's too good on the feet, and maybe Zalal even takes over late finish and stuff like that. But everybody's on the same page, which means to me, I probably want to go the other side. As far as at least betting would go. DFS-wise, this is, I don't want to say this is a hot take, whatever it is. I think this fight could be really boring, okay? I think that Zalal is a very smart fighter. I think that his main goal is to keep from getting backpacked, keep from Sterling from taking him down, which means that Zalal is going to try to keep this on the feet and win the striking battle. And I think that Sterling, by the way, I think he's going to be trying for takedowns, but he's in his last fight against against Ortega, he did not do this. He actually tried to stay on the feet. So I think it's possible that this whole fight takes place on the feet, and then people are just kind of like shaking their heads. What was Sterling doing? And he basically just gets pieced up, or not pieced up, just like loses like 4-1, and in a low volume affair where Zalal just scores 75 to 80 fantasy points. I think it's very, very possible here. So I'm on record as fading this main event. Honestly, if anything, I would take Sterling, but I don't want any part of Zalal in DFS here. So that's going to be my
Okay, so that I think is going to do it. And you see the theme developing here from Sterling, by the way. He's another takedown guy. All the way up the card. I think those are the underdogs you want to highlight. There are a couple of fights again I think you could fade. The Garcia Hernandez fight you could fade. The I think that I think that's the only. I think the Valenzuela fight's probably a fade if anybody take Griffin, but I think we already found better alternatives to Griffin. And I think this Poliastri fight is like almost a fade. You know what I mean? Like, I thought Alan Carr was a good play, but I mean, we found better ones, I think. So I think I've led you guys on the right path. If I do a betting breakdown, I'll let you guys know. If I do a lineup construction video, I'll let you guys know. But I think it's going to be a really, really good card from the DFS perspective. We will see if it plays out that way. Good luck, everybody.